In the last episode, I built a sandwich shop, hired some sandwich artists, and spent a bunch of time on the interior. But this building's looking a little bit lonely out here, so today we're going to add not just one, but 2 new buildings, and neither of them are actually going to be restaurants. But they will be solving another issue we stumbled across last episode, and that is supply of food, so we can actually make the things for the restaurants. So with that in mind, we're going to build ourselves a greengrocer and a butcher or something similar, so we can hold all the veg and all the meat from over there in the barn, ready to distribute to the restaurants. Eventually we may add a van for this delivery, but I gotta work out the bus route before we start messing with that, as the bus route uses phantom rails at this level, and the delivery van is gonna be underground, so yeah, it could get a bit messy with signals. So until the bus is up and running again, we should probably hold off on that. But before we get stuck into today's build, there's a few little things we need to do, one of which I was actually supposed to do last episode, but completely forgot, and that is to name the airfield. And there were hundreds of name suggestions for this, some great, some not so great, and obviously Plainy McPlainface and Airfield McAirfield came up, and all the classics. But the most popular name, without fail, was just to call it Valleydale Airfield to name it after the farm, because it is their airfield after all. But sadly, I don't have a big fancy sign for this one, at least not at the moment. We might make one, but, well, at least it has a name. And if you watched the last episode, you may know that I was spending a lot of time on this interior, and I asked you guys for some other tips and things we could do. And we've got a few changes we're going to make in here. And the first one is going to be to this painting here, because there were lots of comments telling me to get a very specific painting up here from the vanilla painting set, which should fit quite nicely. I've just got to find it. Aha, and there we go, that's the one we wanted. Kebab, which I assume is like a bowl of salad or well, probably a kebab, let's be honest. But that definitely looks a bit better than whatever that mess was we had there before. And another tip that quite a lot of you suggested was to use pressure plates with a bone block inside, which actually looks pretty cool, looks like a plate. I like that. A stick one here as well, and maybe a couple over here. Yeah, I like that, that works well. And every single comment about the lights said that they didn't like them like that. And the much preferred option was the one with the trapdoors. So we're going to put those back like that as well. And you know what? I think you're right. Does look better. But anyway, thank you very much for your suggestions, and I will no doubt be asking for them again after today's builds. But before we can make a start on these, I need to decide what I'm actually going to build them out of, which means I need to head to storage and grab lots of stuff and things. And for this first building, the greengrocers, I think I'm going to use a bunch of green terracotta and maybe some granites. But as usual, I have no green dye, and I still haven't made a cactus farm, which means I need to spam this flower for ages, get tons and tons of red dye, and a small chance of getting green. At least I will once I chuck it through the grinder. For now, I'm just getting roses. Lots and lots of roses. Now, let's just start placing some blocks and see what happens. And I think I do want to make sure that all the buildings aren't in like one big line along here. So we're actually going to push this one back a little bit. Maybe just do another 7-block wide shop. Just a tiny little one. Let's block some stuff out. And I do think a tiny little 7-wide shop here should fit quite nicely. We can actually just use the interior wall of that for the inside of this shop as well, which is quite nice. Saves us a little bit of space. Let's have it not go back so far on this side as well. So I've got some stuff I want to do out the front here, which means we're going to need the window up another notch. We'll have the door in right here. Maybe stick a step out the front. Nice big window at the front. We'll bring that across. Quickly get these walls filled in. All right, and I think I maybe want to go up one more block, but we should probably put in a divider block between this and the section that's going to sit above, which is going to be in green terracotta, which will hopefully work. But what fancy block do we want? I mean, that one's quite good. Let's give this a go. Tell you what, I really like that block. That works really well. But as I say, I do want to have a green terracotta bit on top here, and I'm hoping that's going to work nicely. So let's maybe just build up a nice big frame. Maybe not that big. We'll just fill in these side walls while we're at it as well. In fact, I think I'm going to make this wall here double thick because I want to have the windows set back and have a nice big flower box in the front. And having set back windows like this is going to make that a lot easier, because then we can just replace these two with some grassy blocks and get some flowers on them. Alright, so that's looking pretty good, but it definitely needs a little bit more of a divider, I think. And I wonder, what have we got? Maybe some polished andesite? Let's get a few of those. We'll just use some of these framed slab edges, maybe put them across that bit there. Well, it's quite nice, actually. And maybe we should do that at the top here as well, but with potentially another sort of line of andesite across the top there. Doesn't look quite right, does it? Let's add some slabs and see if having it sticking out a bit more at the top there works. Okay, yeah, that definitely looks better. So let's just quickly fill in the rest of this and stick a roof on. And we're just going to use some sanded, tough inside half slabs for now. That'll do. We'll sort out texturing later, but first I think I want to sort out the texturing down the bottom here because, well, a solid granite brick wall isn't really going to work for us, but colour-wise, I think that looks quite nice. I like that. Now, we'll start with messing up the granite a little bit, and I'm going to keep it fairly simple. We're just going to use these granite blocks, just, well, normal granite, I suppose. We'll mix in a little bit of terracotta here and there as well, because that really does help set it off. And I'm going to make sure I'm doing some of this on the side here as well. We're just going to have some nice patches. Yeah, that's looking a little bit more worn down already. Excellent stuff. I think I'm going to swap out a couple of these for some rougher blocks as well. Don't like quite how consistent that's looking at the moment, but just a couple of roughed up bits, I think that's all it needed. But before we move further up the building, I want to have a little play around with the area down the bottom here, not on the inside. This is just me collecting the blocks. But I want to get the window in and have a little play around with a display out the front here, for which I do have a few ideas, and hopefully we should be able to pull it off. But I need to go make myself a few things first. Done some crafting, and I've got myself some glass and bits and bobs, so let's see what we can do, and that is not something we're going to be doing. That was a terrible start. Let's just stick with plain glass for down here. But what we're going to do is make a nice display out the front here. And we're going to be using these framed sloped rails because that way we can actually get a solid back on them, which is pretty cool. And then down the front here, we're going to use some farm soil and we're going to plant some things. And although I just ran off to get loads of stuff, I forgot to bring any plant pots with me and I'm going to need those. Yoink. We're going to place those plant pots on top like that. Add some saplings into those. And then we're going to do the old minecart thing again, of course, and stick these in like that. Though, give me a minute, I need to actually tweak this a little bit. What we need to do is put in some solid glass while we place the minecarts, because then we can get them all lined up. Although, to be fair, any solid block will do. So let's get these back on again. They're all going to fall down, and then we can push them back up to the top. There we go, and that gets them all nicely lined up. And as long as we don't jump into them again, they'll stay right there. Just get some glass in, and then out the front here, we're going to plant some tomato seeds, a berry bush, and some carrots. And if we just quickly bone meal those, once they're grown up, as you can see, they fill up the little gaps at the front there quite nicely. Then I think we'll get a bit more colour down here just by using some of these crates. We'll stick some melons on this side, and if I remember correctly, we can make mini blocks using framed blocks. I've just got to find the right thing. Framed mini cube, I think it's that one. Let's just make some of those, and that should let us put a tiny melon on there. Look at that. Although maybe we should swap out one of the melons just to give a bit of variety there. But that looks pretty cool. I like that. Next up, I think I want to put a nice bright canopy on here, but we need a little bit more window first. So if we do that, put pink in between, and then we can use these cool angled slopes over this side, if I can get them the right way round. Yeah, it's a nice bright bit of colour that is. There was a bit too much green here though with the melons, so I've just swapped out a couple of them for these barrels, but I think I want one of those big flower pots, which means I need to go back and get some more clay. So let's just grab some of that. And it's as simple as that to make a clay pot. Wonderful. So we'll just put that there, stick a flower pot in top, and maybe an azalea? Yeah, I like that. And then maybe on this side, we could just do a drain pipe again, potentially. Yep, I really like that. I think the bottom of the store looks awesome. But now we need to sort out the top part, which means I need texture. What are we going to mix with that? And I'm thinking maybe we keep it simple. We'll make ourselves a bit of green concrete. We can get green wool from our farm, and maybe even just some green concrete powder. Although we could try a few of these sort of greeny blocks we've got here as well. But I guess I'm going to need to go make some concrete. So that means, oh god, back to the rose bush. I really should make that cactus farm. So let's start off with a little bit of mossy stuff in the corner here, because I want to see how these bricks are going to work. If at all, they might be a little bit much. I'm not sure. How do the normal ones look? I definitely prefer the mossy ones. And the green concrete is very nice. Lovely and subtle, I like that. I think I actually quite like the contrast between those ones. I'm gonna keep them. Now, let's get some windows in. A bit of moss at the front here. And we're gonna need to put trapdoors on those. And I'm thinking maybe we should carry the pink theme on. Let's make some cherry blossom trapdoors. Stick those on the front here, which is good, but I think we're gonna need maybe something to lean these bits on if we were to put in some more sort of awning type things, like that. Now how are we looking? Oh, yes. Oh, that's looking wonderful. And then we'll give them a cherry bush, a little mushroom, a flower, and maybe a nice bit of grass. That's not grass, that's moss. There we go. And let's quickly grow that as well. And I think For the front, at least, I think we're done. And I am loving that. And I do want to put another building here as well. But first, I think we're going to sort out the interior of this one. So, for the inside, I think we're going to start with a nice light floor. And we're going to give it a kind of checkered pattern just by stripping the logs here. And for the ceiling, let's try some light grey terracotta. It's got kind of a beigey, browny feel, which I think is going to work well with the granites. But I want to make this tiled as well. So this could take a moment. That looks pretty nice, and I think I'm just going to put in a separator wall here out of the green concrete, just to bring a bit more of that colour inside, but that gives us lots of space to work with in here. And because we don't need to have any production machines or anything like that, we should be able to get away with just putting in some stairs and having an actual apartment up there, which would be nice. It's what we were supposed to do on that one, but the whole thing's just making sandwiches. Now, veggie shop. Let's just mark out where we can put some stuff. So I guess we can put sort of crates or whatever along this back wall. Probably want a counter of some kind in around about here. Maybe make it pretty busy as well and actually just cram some stuff in along that side. Now, I think I would quite like to get some more of those minecart things in. Let's make sure I'm holding the right block in my offhand, though. Which in this case, I think wants to be bamboo. I do want to make it nice and light and bright in here, and that's going to help with that. Look at that. Some of those on that wall there as well could look pretty good. But this middle bit here, we'll get rid of the bamboo scaffolding. And do I have any more of that soil? I do. We can maybe utilize this in a few places and grab some bamboo trapdoors. More bamboo. So that works pretty well, all wrapped up like that. And then over here, I'm just going to stick a big pile of pumpkins. I think that could look quite nice, especially if we stick a couple of smaller ones about. Just plant some stuff in these. There we go. And on the inside of the window, I think some of these hanging things could be pretty good as well. Give them some berries. And we're going to need shears because we don't want them to grow any further. In fact, I've got 70 shears there. Let's not make any more. Why have I got 70 shears? Jeez. Well, that little corner's looking nice, but we've still got the rest of a shop to do. So I'm going to potter around, get some other details and things in, get a proper counter in, I think, as well. And I'll bring you back in when hopefully this place is looking very, very busy. And I wonder, can I get away with swapping out this wall here? Looks like I can. Excellent. A bunch of block placing later, and I think the interior is done. At least the downstairs. Let's have a little look, and look at this. I've tried to make it pokey and crammed and just rammed full of all the green things, and I think it's looking pretty good. We've got like a leaf wall at the back. We've got lots of crates and details and things like that. We've even made some kind of weird plant out of bamboo and some of this stuff. That was accidental, but I love it. Looks like a tiny orange tree. I've also made good use of the mine carts in here again. I think they work well as displays just to mix it up a bit so it's not all just barrels and dirt. And of course, most importantly, we have our storage at the top here. Although currently that's not actually hooked up to the system, it's just me sort of working out how many boxes I need. If we go behind the counter here as well, we can also go through this door. There's a very pokey little stock room which leads to stairs that go upstairs into a big empty room. Yay, I haven't actually built the apartment yet, but I will. And it also occurs to me I haven't got the top layer of this floor on yet either, so I might need to adjust these stairs ever so slightly. But in regards to automatically bringing things over, we do have a bunch of drawer trims hiding behind this wall here, which go down underground, and we will get those linked up. And once again, I would like to have a proper delivery van at some point, but for now, this is just going to have to do. So I guess with this done and looking pretty awesome, and it's looking great from the outside as well, especially now we can actually see in the window and we can see what's going on in there. That really does pull it together. Haven't really got any space for a sign for this one though, but that's fine. We'll just make sure we make space for a sign on the next shop. Next up though, it's time to sort out the floor up here and build a tiny apartment, I guess. It's pretty much just going to have a bedroom and a kitchen lounge, I think. I don't really know what else we can do with this. It's not a lot of space. Wish me luck. Well, I've only just started on the upstairs here. We've made a little bit of progress. I've sorted out where the rooms are going to go. We've got a lovely little landing area. But I'm afraid we've got to run. We've got to go. You see, rumour has it there's another airport, and I want to take a little flight. The only thing is, it's actually in a slightly different world/dimension. So, yeah, I'm sure this will work. Ah, my plane's not here. Well, when my plane gets here, we'll take a little trip. Should have put a board up so I knew when it would be here. Hello. I see you were expecting almost me, but not me.
Yeah, we were expecting a Mr. Beardstone.
Yeah, sorry. Sorry, you got me instead.
I guess you have to do then.
Hold on, wait. Can you back up next to the picture? I don't know if is that the guy? Is that the same guy?
I don't know. The face looks similar. The name, slightly mixed up.
So, what are you doing here, Mr. B?
Well, that's exactly what I was going to ask you. I got a cryptic message, basically let me know that there was another airport, so I had to come check that out, so I just flew in.
Oh, okay. So
What?
you're here for a visit.
Flew in on what?
My plane.
What?
Where is
What,
it?
what plane?
Yes. So it turns out they wanted me to tour the world and inspect their builds. Kitted out with a clipboard and some inspection goggles, I then spent an hour or so exploring Blockdown and Frogcrafting's world with them, eating burgers, looking at sheep backpacks, judging Blockdown's broken tech, scouting out some interior design ideas, and generally just hanging out with my friends, while making some notes the whole time for them to review later, of course. If you want to see how this adventure panned out, be sure to check out Frog and Blocky's channels linked below. Sadly, I just don't have time in this episode, but they've created an amazing world and I was honoured to be able to check it out. And still some ideas. And maybe a tree schematic or two. Well, as lovely as it was to go see what Blockdown and Frogcrafting have been up to, we've still got an interior to build, but they've given me some ideas. They had some very cool interiors going on, and obviously we don't have access to all the cool little bits and bobs that they did, but I think I've still picked up a bit of inspiration there. Now let's see if we can apply some of that to this interior. And I think I'm going to start with the floors. And following that musical interlude, I think we're just about done up here. So we've got a lovely landing here. I've just crammed a whole lot of bookshelves and some other stuff on. And if we go into the main entrance here, we're greeted with a small hallway, and I've also used some of the frame blocks to make these cool little lights, which I think work well. Got a coat hook, some plants, a bit of storage. It's all looking lovely. And then in here we have our bedroom, a little bit pokey, but I think it works well. We've even got a wardrobe in here, as well as some drawers and a wonderful picture of a chimp. And then through here we have our kitchen and dining area. So we have a small little kitchen up against that wall. I've just used a few smaller details here just to give it a little bit of life. And over on this side we have a dining table / seating area. We've got some more bookshelves because, well, they're colourful and they fill space nicely. And in fact, I think I might just want to block off this side of the bookshelf. That looks a bit better. But with that, I think we actually have our first apartment here, which means the person who runs the grocery store downstairs actually has somewhere to sleep. Unlike the poor sandwich shop owner. But that's the first build for today done. Now I just need to build a butcher shop right here. You're in the way, sir. Oh, no sombrero for me. What is that? No, I don't want that. Well, now that they've mysteriously disappeared, let's work out a butcher shop and, yeah, cover up the back of the seats on that wall. Now, for this butcher shop, I think I want to do it a similar size to this. We might make it a bit taller, potentially a 3-story building, maybe. But I know what I definitely want to do is keep the indent at the front of this path here. Now let's mark out a frame using these terracotta tiles. I think they add a nice little sort of base pattern to the building. And I think this time we'll put the entrance over on this side. That size should be good. Let's just build up some walls. And I'm hoping that by using the yellow terracotta here, we can add a little bit of brightness to the street, because although it's, you know, got these colourful bits up here, down the bottom here, there's not a lot of colour. So hopefully the yellow's just going to add to that. That should work nicely. Let's just mix in a little bit of yellow concrete in a couple of places. Maybe we'll get some wool in as well. Well, that concrete looks extremely bright, doesn't it? Maybe we should get some concrete powder as well. Well, the concrete powder's even lighter, but that does actually make this look less bright, so that could actually work. Maybe what we actually need is just a little bit of glow lichen as well, because that can kind of blend between the different textures and kind of make things fit in a little bit better. On the paler side, I was considering maybe mixing in a little bit of birch in a couple of places, but I don't think that's really going to work. Might be a bit too much going on with the birch. We'll stick with that for now, but maybe just a bit of birch above the door. Now, I think we'll do the same thing we did on that side, and we'll just sort out the front here a little bit. But this is a butcher. You can't really display things outside, so maybe a little bench or something? Maybe that's what we need? Just a nice, simple bench. I don't think it needs to be anything too fancy. Literally just that could do. But let's get the window in, let's get a door in, and work out what we're going to do with the top bit. And to be honest, I'm thinking I might want to add a bit more colour. Maybe mangrove? Or is that going to be too much? We'll figure that out in a minute. Let's sort out the rest of this downstairs first, which means I need to do some texturing, get some glass in, and maybe potentially try and find a sign, or at least leave a space for a sign. We'll see what happens, but I need to go get some glass. Well, that's coming along a little bit, but I need to kind of work out what this connection area here is going to look like before I can finish off the bottom bit. And I'm going to give this mangrove a go. And as usual, we'll just get a block color in for now. We'll sort out texture later, and I should probably pick up all of these blocks. They might come in handy. And we should have some windows at the front here, maybe just a couple of 3-high windows again. And then let's put another floor on. Let's give this one a couple of floors. And the colors, I think they actually work quite well together, you know? Don't mind that. And there's a big gap here as well, which we'll figure out soon. But let's get the rest of these walls in first, I think. Well, it's big, it's red, and it's got some texture on it. I think that could work quite nicely. And if we look at it in the scale of the buildings, color-wise, it's quite nice to have that differentiation, I believe. But now what I need to do is sort out this divider. And I'm going to try just using some of these first, and maybe we can just use these for windowsills as well. And let's stick a row at the top here too. Now, for the windows themselves, I've actually gone with brown here. I don't want them to stand out too much against the red, and I'm hoping that that's going to look all right. Yeah, I quite like that. They look a little bit older and a bit grimier than the other windows. This is good. Yeah, that's quite nice. I like that. Let's get a roof on. I'm going to start just by slabbing around the edge here, I think. We'll cover up all the reds. I'll tell you what, we still need to texture that roof as well, but we'll sort both roofs out at the end. It'll be nice to get some water tanks or something else, just a little bit more detail on these ones. But for now, I'm just going to give it a stone roof on the inside. We can see a bit more what we're working with now, and I want to get some detail in. We'll start with a couple of encased fans. It'd be nice to have some kind of like, almost an aircon unit kind of thing going on in the window here. Something like that. And on this side, let's try some leaves maybe. And if we do this, and then just use some signs around the outside, how does that look? Yeah, I like that. Although, I do wonder, if I was to swap out one of those leaves for a bit of moss, then I could maybe stick a bit of grass on that bit, make the leaf look a little bit fluffier, I guess. Well, I don't think it looks like a fluffy leaf, but it looks cool. I'm going to stick with that. On this bottom bit, I'm just going to stick a couple of levers there, just a little bit of extra detail, and let's see if we can find a sign to put in there. So, my good friend Google has been helping me out, and I think I've got a thing that I want to use. And it's just something nice and simple. Just says butcher. What more could you want? And I think for now the outside is done. We may come back and do a little bit more afterwards, but I want to make a start on the interior here. And once again, it's going to be a bit like the greengrocers next door where we're just storing things. So I just need to make this look like a nice clean butchery type place, I guess. And being a butcher's, I think we're going to need a nice tiled floor to begin with. And also with this one, a bit like the sandwich shop, I think I'm going to lower the floor once people get inside. Well, I think just with the combination of the ceiling, the walls and the tiles, it's already looking fairly butchery in here. If we imagine we're going to have a counter that pretty much runs along like this here, this is where people would come in, they'd place their orders, they'd get all their fresh meat and so on, and then leave again. So yeah, we don't actually need anything really for the customers other than a small area at the front here. And we've got plenty of space out the back here as well, so we can have a nice big fridge here, we can have some stairs that go up, and that will of course lead to our apartments. But our current task is going to be to build a butcher's counter, and I do wonder, I've got a bit of an idea for this, but I'm going to need a bunch of smooth stone, I want to use some blast furnaces, and we'll figure it out from there. But yeah, I need to go get those things. And I don't know what's going on over here in these greenhouses, but they are so framey when I look in that direction. Looking this way, I've got a nice comfortable 120 frames, and there's already a lot going on over there. And then when I look this way, I've got like 40. What is going on? Is that harvesters that are causing that, or is it just the veg in general? I mean, does having lots of veg growing cause issues? Or is it the sprinklers, maybe? I don't know, but whatever it is, it's very annoying. Anyway, what was I doing? Oh yes, blast furnaces. And while I go and get this stuff, you'll be pleased to know it's the middle of the month, and that means it's time for another world download. So at the end of this episode, there will be a world download available for all YouTube members and patrons of any level whatsoever, so you can go and experience a loss of frames over at the greenhouses yourselves. And if you figure out what's causing it, please do let me know. But I reckon it's probably a combination of the harvesters and the sprinklers. Anyway, enough distractions, let's make some blast furnaces. And what I'm hoping is that when we put these down, either that way or this way, they're going to kind of look a little bit like the sort of bottom edges of a fridge. In fact, I think that way round definitely works better than this. Maybe we just need the occasional one going that way as if it's got a little bit of ventilation. And I think that could work. But yeah, I've still got a lot more to do in here. So I'm going to have a little play around. I have no idea how I'm going to achieve this. And yeah, I'll talk you through what I've done once I've actually got something that looks good. Wow, that's close. But the good news is, if I go back into first person, we now have a complete shop. Look at this. I really actually like how this has come out. The little sign really adds a lot, and we've got our boxes for storage at the top here. But when it comes to the details, I've made use of mini blocks and tried to find some pink and reddish kind of textures that I think look a little bit meaty, and from the outside, that actually looks very cool as well. We've got our glass cabinet down the front, and although I did keep the blast furnaces, they're actually just on this side now. We've got a nice fridge, we've got a chicken carcass, as well as some chopping areas and cleaning areas, and so on. And overall, I am very pleased with that. That looks very cool. Just don't ask about the llama head. What I want to do now, though, is out the back here, I do want to put in a sort of a big walk-in fridge on one side, and we need to get stairs to go upstairs on the other, and then we're going to sort out these apartments. At the start of our little street is really starting to come together. If we can imagine that whole thing stretching down on either side with different buildings and restaurants and things like that, it should look pretty cool. Let's stop looking at things. I've got work to do. Fridge. Well, that worked out okay. We've got a lovely fridge in here now. We've also got a little bit of space over here, so I've just kind of dumped some stuff down. But the walk-in little fridge here, I am very pleased with. I think that's come out well. We've got some shelves with some meats and things. We've got boxes. We've got a little work table. And, of course, we've got some dangly bits. But I also may have got a little bit carried away, and that was weird. I disappeared. But what I was gonna say is I did get carried away, and I've also sorted out the upstairs too. So if we go up here, we've got a lovely door into our lovely new flat. So I've turned this room into kind of a lounge area. We've got an old school TV. We've got just stuff on the shelves, really. Just whatever I had in my inventory, if I'm perfectly honest. I mean, this bit up here is actually a radiator fan. But I think the lounge looks pretty good. It's nice and spacious as well, which is lovely. And then through here, we have our kitchen. So we've got a sort of larder pantry area. I did mean to put some fireplaces in there so we can put some meat on them, but I completely forgot, and I don't actually have any on me. So let's just pretend we'll do that later. But we've got our little herb shelf, we've got some oven cooking-y type things, we've got knives and all sorts. It's very kitchen-y. I mean, it's a kitchen, what more do you want? And then these stairs out the back here, if we go upstairs, we've then got a bedroom, and I would like to try and get a few other bits and bobs to put in here, maybe some mob heads just to have to sort of display on the shelves, and I need to get some more books to fill these bookshelves as well. But I think the bedroom's come out quite nice. It was a bit of an awkward space because the windows sort of come right down to the floor here. But I think from the outside that works quite well. You can see how the bedroom sits, so I'm not too fussed. But with that, I think that's another building done. And I'm in love with the actual shop area of this. I think it's very, very cool. The last thing I need to do with this shop, and of course the one next door, our greengrocers, is to actually hook up all of the storage. But I haven't quite worked out how I'm going to do that yet, and this video's got to go out in about an hour and a half, and I've still got a little bit of editing to do. Well, this bit. I need to go and edit this bit. But if you have made it this far, please do consider subscribing. And don't forget, if you're a patron or a YouTube member, you should be able to grab the World download. It should be available to you now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye now.